He's got this to win it. Low snap, the kick. It is good.
On Sunday, the Green Bay Packers put up a statement win against the Houston Texans that has put the whole league on notice. Jordan Love continues to be a big play machine, and this defense is red hot, limiting CJ Stroud to under 100 yards for just the second time in his career. Green Bay fans have been blessed with 3 straight decades of good quarterback play and good records, and it doesn't appear to be going anywhere anytime soon. The Jordan Love-led Packers are here, and despite him missing time earlier in the season, the pack is all the way back. Now, from this weekend, we did have some young quarterbacks battling each other, but as we all know from the Jordan Love versus CJ Stroud game, Jordan Love came out on top. And not only that too, but he helped show that this team is a legitimate contender and cannot be forgot about this far into the season. Despite missing their star quarterback for 2 weeks, the Packers currently sit at 5-2, right in the thick of an absolutely brutal NFC North and in real contention as one of the best teams in the entire conference. And this seems like a team that's trending in the right direction, looking like a real threat in January and beyond. Just 1 year ago though, things were not looking anywhere near as good. After the departure of legendary future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers, many cheeseheads were concerned about where the franchise was going without him. The hopes of everybody were placed on the shoulders of a 25-year-old with just one career start to his name and some enormous shoes to fill. And look, it's fair to say that last year did not start well at all, with the team sitting at a 3-6 record, including rough losses to Denver, Las Vegas, and Pittsburgh. I mean, hell, at one point, most considered Green Bay to be far out of the playoff picture, with many wondering if Jordan Love was even the long-term solution at all. But from that point on, something clicked for Love and his offense as the team won 6 of their last 8, including shocking victories over the Lions and the Chiefs. And to cap everything off, a Week 18 victory over the Bears rounded it off, giving Green Bay the final wildcard spot in a first playoff appearance for Jordan Love. And during the second half of that season, we honestly got what the Jordan Love era could look like, and honestly how well he did play during the back half of that season. Love threw 18 touchdowns and just a single interception in the last 8 games, suggesting that life after Aaron Rodgers might be not so bad after all. And as we all know, in the wild card round, he absolutely dismantled the Dallas Cowboys, with the Packers having that one sewn up by halftime, taking a 27-0 lead in the second quarter before running out 48-32 winners. The following week, we saw the Packers lose a tight one in San Francisco in the divisional round, but there was no doubt that they had made their mark, and this was a team looking to contend. The Packers chose to reward Love with a huge new contract in the offseason, despite him only having 1 year as a starter under his belt. A 4-year, $220 million contract does put him among the very best players in football and highest paid as well, but has he been that so far this season? And to answer very plainly, it's been working out very well for the Packers. Despite missing those 2 games due to injury, no player in pro football has thrown more than Love's 15 touchdowns. His 270.2 yards per game also ranks second in the league, only behind Seahawks' Geno Smith. He's making big plays right now and carrying this offense like a veteran quarterback despite only being 25 years old. The finale of Sunday's game showed this, as he needed just 104 seconds to dice up the Houston secondary, completing 5 passes and setting up Brandon McManus for the game-winning field goal.
Low snap, the kick. It is good.
And now look, as tight as the NFC playoff picture is kind of coming to be so far as we enter the back half of the season, every win is going to be crucial. And beating a much hyped Houston team is absolutely something that the Packers can brag about, and is a crucial win, just showing how good this team actually can be. However, while there has been a lot to be excited about this year, it is worth pointing out that Love hasn't been exactly flawless either. While he does have a tie for the touchdown lead this season, he's also thrown 8 interceptions in 5 games, which is tied for the most in the NFL. And now obviously not all of those were entirely his fault, but there have been some rough ones which have come up as a surprise given how surgical he was down the stretch last year. I mean, take for example in the first half versus Houston, Love threw 2 picks, with the second one in particular just being a poor throw and decision, ending that drive on the very first play. It is definitely something that he's going to have to iron out, but thankfully he does have time on his side, and we know his ceiling is incredibly high. If he and Matt LaFleur can iron out these mistakes and stop him from forcing the ball into coverage, there is no doubt that he can be a truly elite quarterback in this league for years to come. And it's even crazier too, because that would continue that absurd run that the Green Bay Packers have had since Brett Favre's debut in 1992. And I mean, even despite losing the turnover battle 3-0, this team still found a way to win, which is of course all that matters in this league. And I think what's the even craziest part about this just entire thing that Jordan Love is doing is he's doing it with just really honestly good receivers. None of them have really stepped up and become quite elite yet. As most of us know by now, the Packers have the NFL's youngest squad, and nowhere is more obvious than the receivers, none of whom are older than 25. So far this year, the team's top receiver has been Jayden Reed, who is on 452 receiving yards, good for 13th in the league, while also adding another 110 in the running game. Reed has been quieter in the last 2 weeks, but he put up 310 yards in Love's first 2 starts against Philadelphia and Minnesota, showing that there is absolutely a great connection to be had with these two as the Packers move forward. Beyond Reed though, Love has been able to call in Romeo Doubs, Dontavian Wicks, and Christian Watson, 3 players who have all shown an ability to contribute at a very high level when called upon on the past 2 seasons. The newest breakout to emerge though is tight end Tucker Kraft. Kraft had his moments in 2023, but so far this year, he's taken his game to next level, with his 4 touchdowns ranking only behind George Kittle for tight ends. So far this season, the offense ranks 9th in the league for passing yards per game, but is actually the rushing attack that is leading the way at the moment, sitting at 5th in rushing yards per game with 155. And of course, the main man to thank for all of this is Josh Jacobs, who joined in free agency this year to replace the outgoing Aaron Jones. Jones was a popular player during his time at Lambeau Field, recording 64 total touchdowns as a Packer during his 7 years on the team. His departure to the division rival Minnesota Vikings definitely stung for some Packer fans, but Jacobs' performance so far has been excellent, averaging 4.5 yards per carry for his total of 544 yards. I mean, 7 games into the season, Jacobs ranks 4th in the league for rushing yards and 2nd in rushing attempts, showing the volume of work that he's been doing on this team. Like, even if we flash back to 2 years ago in Vegas, he led the league in rushing yards, which earned him All-Pro honors, and if he can keep going at this pace this year, he as well might be an All-Pro again. And as crazy as this may sound too, on Sunday, Jacobs caught his first ever receiving touchdown in what is now his only 6th season in the league, ending an unwanted NFL record of most career receptions without a receiving touchdown. Packer fans will be hoping that this is another sign of things to come, as they might just have another red zone threat on their hands. In addition to just all of these positive things that the Packers have had going for them as well, they also might have been able to solve their kicker problem, which they've been experiencing the past couple of weeks as well. Both of the Packers' losses this season were marred by missed field goals, including a 31-29 loss to Minnesota, which saw Braden Arvison miss 2 makeable kicks in the first half, which really sting when you lose by just 2 points. This week, we saw the 11-year veteran Brandon McManus join the team, and of course, he drilled the 45-yarder that won the game as time expired. And I know, honestly, this might even sound crazy, but had they had McManus earlier in the season, this is a team that honestly we could be looking at and be 6-1 or even undefeated up to this point. On the defensive side of the ball though, the Packers have been solid this year, ranking 10th in scoring defense and keeping their opponents to less than 22 points in 5 of their 7 games. A big part of this success is down to the team's exceptional ability to force turnovers, with the defense recording 17 takeaways, which is 3 more than the next closest challengers, the Minnesota Vikings. And I mean, now the first man we have to talk about here is their first new addition that they made this offseason in Xavier McKinney. A free agent signing who left the New York Giants after 4 years in the Big Apple, the Packers splashed out big on McKinney, giving him a $67 million contract over 4 years, which makes him the 4th highest paid safety in football this year. And so far, it's looking like a good investment. In each of his first 5 games as a Packer, McKinney recorded an interception, marking the first time a player has done this in his first 5 games on a new team since the NFL merger in 1970. And I mean, honestly, this acquisition just really took this defense over the top to a unit that really wasn't even struggling, but now has become a feared unit in the NFL. Another core reason of this, of course, goes to Jair Alexander. Since being drafted 18th overall by the Packers in 2018, Alexander has been one of the most important players on this defense and has broken through as one of the best cornerbacks in football. In the last 4 seasons, he's been named second team All-Pro twice, with the other 2 seasons seeing him miss significant time due to injury. Alexander is a true shutdown corner, and his presence alone massively boosts the rest of the secondary. Elsewhere in the secondary, the likes of Keon Nixon and promising rookie Evan Williams have played a role in ensuring that the Packers team is hard to get through in the air. But honestly, the heartbeat of this defense has come through the defensive line in Rashawn Gary. Last year, Gary and Love were the only 2 Packers to be ranked in the NFL Top 100, with Gary being recognized by his fellow pros for his constant ability to make life hell for a lineman and quarterbacks. Up front, the Packers rank 6th in the league for sacks with 20, and Gary has played his part in that alongside Devontae Wyatt and the team's tackles leader, Quay Walker. Overall though, this Packers defense is among the best in the league, courtesy to Jeff Hafley, their defensive coordinator. Hafley, like head coach Matt LaFleur, worked under Kyle Shanahan and is yet another member of the particular coaching tree. Under Hafley, this defense has looked excellent, and Sunday was possibly the best example yet of that, as they held CJ Stroud to just 86 yards on 21 attempts while sacking him 4 times. Honestly, it's just important to note how well this team has just been coached in general by Matt LaFleur. As we all know, when Rodgers was quarterback, the team won 13 games in 3 seasons straight, an impressive feat of course, but some wondered how much of that was simply down to the quality that LaFleur had at his disposal, especially at the quarterback position. But honestly, since Rodgers' departure, just LaFleur has built a brand new, young, and good, just amazing young offensive squad that they do have, and they look like one of the best units in the league. On top of that too, the Packers have been able to do this transition in record-breaking time, practically rebuilding mid-season last year. As we've said, this is the youngest roster in the league, and they took one of the best teams in football to the absolute limit in last year's divisional round. With LaFleur at the helm, you wouldn't bet against them going even further this time around. Arguably the best example of LaFleur's quality was when Jordan Love was injured in weeks 2 and 3, and Malik Willis had to step in as quarterback. As we all know, in his limited time on the field on Tennessee, Willis did not look like an NFL standard quarterback at all, posting a 42.8 passer rating with 0 touchdowns and 3 picks in 2022. But when he came to Green Bay, Willis looked great, with LaFleur working on his strengths, utilizing his ability as a runner, and getting 2 strong performances out of him as the Packers kept rolling without their star quarterback. You just get the impression that even if they do have a couple of injuries that happen down the road in the further part of this season, that they're just such a well-oiled machine that honestly, it really won't change much for this team. But that does beg the question is, can the Packers go all the way? And before we can answer that question, honestly, there are some respectable teams that are going to want to try and knock off the Packers. For one, the Detroit Lions look like an absolute, and they are the bookies' favorites on the NFC side. Detroit is probably a stronger side than Green Bay just now, but both of those divisional games promise to be absolute classics and hugely important to this division. As do the games against Minnesota and Chicago. As we've said on this channel, the NFC North is an absolute bloodbath this season, and Green Bay finds themselves right in the middle of the dogfight here. But at this point, the Packers shouldn't fear too many teams in this league. Honestly, right now, they look better than the 49ers, the team that has been their biggest playoff nemesis recently, losing to them in playoffs 5 times in the last 12 years. So maybe this is finally the year that they get to exercise those ghosts of the playoffs past and bring joy to one of the league's most passionate fan bases. And now, yes, they may not be the best team in the NFC right now, but they're not far from it. And it honestly kind of feels like they might be even flying under the radar a little bit right now. Now, obviously, maybe after the victory over Houston, people will start to take them seriously as a real contender in the playoffs, but they have one of the league's best quarterbacks, a solid receiving core, an NFL elite running back, the best defense at forcing turnovers, and one of the league's very best coaches. And with such a young roster, the ceiling for this team seems so high, not just this season, but for years to come. And with that, honestly, it just looks like the Packers are completely back. But I want to know what you guys think. How many games do you think the Packers are going to win? Honestly, for me right now, they could even slide in and maybe win the NFC North if they can beat honestly, I think they would need to beat everybody in the division at least once, maybe even knock off the Lions twice if that is possible. But the Packers look legit right now, man. They are flying under the radar. Jordan Love is playing phenomenal after he has come back from his injury, and only time will tell to see what we can expect from this team this year. But as always, let me know in the comment section what you guys think about them right now. Are they going to to win the NFC North? Are they going to be in the Super Bowl or near it this year? Let me know down in the comment section as below. And as always, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to let me know to keep making more of these videos. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one.